2 as of now. I'm adding 2 to it. 2 plus 2 is 4. And I'm using 4 to update R. As a result, column F, in this case, is updated to a value of 4. I'm done with line 8. I go to line 9. I add 1 to I. I goes from 1 to 2. Okay, let me just split the screen so we can see what we are talking about here. Okay, so I is now updated to a value of 2. Oops. Right there. And after line 9, we have to go back to the beginning of the loop, which is line 7. Line 7 is going to reevaluate the comparison, which is I is less than n. This time it is false, because n is 2, I is 2, so 2 is less than 2 is false. We get out of the loop, we go to the return statement on line 11. This time we are returning a value of 4. Okay? But we do exactly the same thing. We locate the rightmost return info cell, we copy and paste it, we change the question mark to the value that we are returning, and we are done with the return statement. On line 12, we deallocate the 4 columns that we have allocated for this invocation, and then we continue execution on whatever return info tells me to go back to. In this case, it is line 13. On line 13, now it looks like C37, which is just printing a constant of 4. I can do that without any additional invocations, and I'm done. Are there any questions about this trace? No question? Yep.
You can upload this to today's file?
Yes. Yep. I'm going to save it now and then upload it. Okay. So I'm saving it, but remember, I'm pretending that I'm taking a test right now. Okay. Now, obviously, when you guys are taking the test, don't reason out aloud like I did. Okay. You don't have to explain to all your neighbors, how you come up with the answers. In fact, you don't want to. I don't want you guys to explain it during the test. You can do it after the test, all you want. Okay, so make sure you save the file before you turn it in. Okay, because you don't want to accidentally turn in a file before you save your own answers. In fact, if you want to be absolutely safe, you go to OpenOffice and you say exit. Okay, that will close all the windows, all the documents that you have opened so far with OpenOffice. And that makes sure that you have saved everything, because if you have not saved a particular document, OpenOffice will remind you. You have made changes, you have not saved it. What do you want to do? Yep.
Will this test be like the last test? We can open notes,
Yes.
Open anything?
With the exception that this time it is also open web.
Oh.
Okay, so basically all the resources on Moodle, all the resources that you can Google, everything online is at your fingertip at this point. The same restriction also applies, which means no live communication during the test.
Great.
But other than that, everything is open. So now that I'm done with the file, I want to upload it. Okay, uploading the file is exactly the same thing with your homework assignment. You use the browse button, you go to the folder where you save the file. So this is another reason why you want to save it onto your own thumb drive. In fact, you want to make a new folder just for the final exam so that you know, okay, whenever I download the file, it's going to be in that folder. Okay? So you go to the folder, you look at the file that you want to upload. Remember, if you have multiple versions, be very careful which one you upload, because whatever you upload will overwrite whatever you have uploaded prior to that. Okay? So I will just use this one here because I only have one version. And it is not done yet. Okay, at this point, I have only specified which file of my computer locally do I want to upload, but it has yet been uploaded, and there's no upload button here. The upload button is actually just renamed. Okay, there are multiple ways to upload. You can press save without submitting. That will do the upload. You can also just click on the second question or whatever question you want to answer next. That will also do the upload. Okay, now I'm just going to do it now. I just switch to question number 2 without even saving the answer of the previous one. If I go back to question number 1, you can see that there's now a link to my answer. That means I have actually successfully uploaded the file. If you're not sure which file you have uploaded, you can also click on this link here during the test. reopen the file, and by default it is open in read-only mode, and you can see that I can see my own answer, in this case. So this is a quick and easy way just to make sure that you uploaded the right file right after you do the upload. Okay? Are there any questions at this point? No questions? Okay. Yep. Sorry? In the final, there won't be it won't be labeled as practice anymore. That's not the question.
Okay. So this is just for us to work on outside of class and not
Yeah,
be
yeah.
turning it into.
No, you can turn it in, but I won't be grading it. So it's for you to practice the interface. Do you know how to navigate around the questions? Do you know which button to click? Do you know what would happen when you click this particular button and stuff like that? So that you guys can practice as much as you want before the actual final exam.
And then the final we'll be taking it on our computer.
We'll go to the computer lab in room 152. So at the end of this class, I will also remind you guys to go there today, so that you can sign up for an account, so that you don't have to waste time on next Tuesday or whenever we have the final exam for this class and waste time doing that instead of answering the questions. Yep.
What time is the exam? Is it going to be the same class time?
No, it is listed in the syllabus. I cannot remember exactly what time it is. Okay, so let's, yep.
Will the final have the same amount of questions in the same way?
Yeah, pretty much, same type of question, but obviously it won't be exactly the same, algorithms to trace. There are, many different ways to combine, the concepts that we have talked about in this class. And the final exam is really about, how, I will just combine those things in a different way, but nothing will be new. It's just, combinations of, concepts that we have talked about so far. You just have to be careful and not make assumptions like, oh, we usually do this in the class, because in the final exam I might try something new, something that is not usually what we do in the class. Okay, let's skip to question number 3. You are more than welcome to skip questions during the test. And one technique that you guys already know when you take a test, any test, is to time yourselves. Okay. Let's just say that we have exactly 5 questions in the final exam, which is very likely. I don't think I will have any more questions than 5. And you have 120 minutes, which means on the average you have 24 minutes per question. Okay, so you might want to time yourself. Use a stopwatch or something to time yourself, and give yourself, let's say, 20 minutes. A little bit less than 24 per question. Okay. At the end of the 20 minutes, even when you're not done with the trace, move on. Okay, save it, upload it, and then move on to the next question. Okay, the reason why you might want to do that is the next question may be easier than the one that you are trying to answer. Okay, so that means if you waste too much time on a particular question, you might miss some other questions that are actually easier than the one that you're tackling. So that's why you want to time yourself and at least be able to touch and try out every single question, okay, for 20 minutes. Now, at the end of the question 5 here, and you have time left, then you can go back to the question that you did not finish earlier and continue to work on it at that point. But if you run out of time, you would have at least a partially done solution already uploaded, and you don't have to worry about, oh, I don't have anything turned in for a particular question, because you will have partial answers already uploaded. So that's one really important point, because I have seen too many people getting too focused on one particular question, and and they don't have enough time to look at the other questions, which may or may not be easier than the one that they were trying to tackle. So make sure you have enough time to at least try out each and every question for about 20 minutes before you throw in a towel and say, okay, I got to move on to the next one. And unlike some other tests, you can go back and forth in Moodle. Okay, there's no restriction. Once you have seen the question, you cannot go back. You can hop front, back, and in any direction you want. Okay, so this is the dreaded question about pre and post conditions. I just want to do this one first, just so that I can show you the interface of using a built-in editor to save your answers. In this case, I give you the post condition. The post condition of line 37 is that x is 28. Okay, and I want you to tell me what is the precondition of line 32 and verify that that precondition is in fact correct. Okay, in other words, It's the usual question or the same type of question that you have in the first exam. Okay? And now we have two conditional statements, basically back to back, and how are we going to deal with it? Well, you don't look at this as two different conditional statements to begin with. You deal with one conditional statement at a time. Okay? So you draw a picture. Now, obviously, with an online test, you cannot turn in your picture easily unless you use Paint to draw the picture, upload it, make a link to it so I can see the picture. You can do it actually if you want to, but I think it will take up a lot of time. Okay, so you might want to do this just on the side, but it will be helpful. This means that even though the test is done online, it may still be helpful to have your own little notepad to help you draw pictures as you go. Okay, so this is a picture of a typical if conditional statement without the else. Without the else, it simply means the else part is empty. There's nothing to do when the condition is false. Okay. So we're dealing with the second one, which checks whether x is greater than 30. If that is true, we go through this statement here, which is x gets x minus 3. Yep. And the other part is just skipping through, got nothing to do at the end. So now I tell you, by the way, I'm telling you that at this point, which is post 37, I know that x is exactly 28. Okay? So the question is, can I do any type of deduction? Okay? Now, if x is 28 at this point, which that means x has to be 28 at this point as well. Because between this point and this point here, there's nothing that I can do. Okay? X cannot be changed during that time. It also means that x can also be 28 at exactly this point because the else branch has nothing to do also. Is that making any sense? Okay, well, let's just say that x is 28 after this assignment statement. Without using any type of substitution operation, inverse functions and whatnot, can someone tell me what is x before the assignment statement? 31, right? I mean, it just makes sense because after subtracting 3, I have 28. That means before the subtraction, I have x equals to 31. Okay? So now, now you have to look at this and carefully evaluate and say, oh, so that means, if I merge these two paths, because I'm moving up, in a reverse direction now, if I merge these two paths, then what can I say about x at that point? Exactly. Well, I wouldn't call it either or. I would just use a regular or. Okay? But you guys got the right idea. In this case, it is an either or because x obviously cannot be both. But I would still use an or in this case. Okay? So are we doing okay in this case? Okay. All right. So that takes care of the second conditional statement. Now, once we take care of the second conditional statement, we can now try to take care of the first conditional statement. The first conditional statement has exactly the same shape because it is also just a regular conditional statement without anything to do in the else branch. So we have exactly the same shape, except we start with this at the end, right? Because the precondition of the second conditional statement is exactly the same as the post-condition of the first conditional statement because they are sequential. Is that making any sense? So when you are going backwards, you can also use the same reasoning and say that, well, because the other one follows this one, its precondition has to be the post-condition of this one here. So I'm just going to restate x equals to 31 or x equals to 28 here. And yes, I'm not using the or operator consistently. Sometimes I use the math notation, and other times I just spell it out. Okay, so I'm just going to copy the code here, and obviously this is not going to be captured in the screen capture because it is outside of the screen area. Okay. And the condition is x mod 2 equals to 0. X mod 2 equals to 0 means